if you're not feeling currently expanding, more than likely, something inside of you, the mind, is in the way.
Welcome to Satori Mindset Podcast. My name is Yuki Yoshii, and this is your time, your moment to reflect on yourself, your life, and to integrate your journey to feel aligned, and to ultimately make the awakened version of you a default mode. So let's begin.
Okay, something that I was inspired by the Divine Self 3 days training that I was doing this week, that I wanted to create a separate video to share a certain perspective and focus. And that is to begin bringing awareness around the topic of expansion and abundance and wholeness. So these qualities and elements are who we truly are. So we are living in this world driven by motivation. We're living in this world motivated by the external. And I have always felt that there's something that I found myself resisting just buying into that idea, because from an early stage of my life, I knew that invisible world existed. And this is something not that anybody taught me or read in any books. Even before I started to read any books, I had this intuitive knowing that there is an invisible world that exists, that the realm that I cannot see in the physical eyes, that actually is governed. And there was this sort of internal sense of knowing that that is the fundamental place that we want to focus on, because that's where we came from and that's where we're going back. But more importantly, that's actually what exists fundamentally every single moment right now. As I speak, as you watch and listen to, that is existing right now. So when we begin understanding that we're a spiritual being and the dimension that we want to live from and then be connected to is in the invisible realm, we begin understanding some qualities that we want to carry throughout the day, throughout the week, no matter what we're doing, right? You might be a mother, you might be somebody who is focusing on the business, you might be somebody who is retired, who is connecting to people through different a volunteer. Whatever the phase of your life is, the soul is there. That is who you are. And in order for that soul to express itself through this physical life, we want to acquire this fundamental connection with that expansion, because the essence of who we are is expansion. And what I mean by that is that we are constantly in the urge of expansion. That's the nature of the soul. The soul is forever seeking fuller expansion. And it doesn't matter what the age is. No, it doesn't really matter what the situation is. You might be somebody who is injured. You might be somebody who is having an issue circumstance-wise. It doesn't, none of those things matter. The nature of us, of you and of me and of us, is an expansion. So if you're not feeling currently expanding, more than likely something inside of you, the mind, is in the way. So what's the opposite of expansion? It's contraction and resistance. So if you're in a contracted, which is resistance and contraction, both comes from a fear. That comes from the fear-based perspective. And if you're experiencing that, it means that the fear is driving your experience. Then what we want to do is to observe, step back and observe, and begin realizing that that is a mental construct and it's not real. It's a mental construct. Now, I'm not saying, this is not to say that the physical injuries or something that you're experiencing physically, you know, cutting something, that is not fear or pain. That's a separate conversation. But if you're creating some illusion in the mind using imagination that doesn't exist currently and feeling resistant by anticipating the worst case scenario or something that's contradictory to what you desire, that is an illusion, a mental construct. So we want to notice that and quickly begin shifting into the quality of the soul, spiritual perspective, which is expansion. Yeah. So to have that marker throughout the day, throughout the week, enable us to get back to who we are. That's number one, expansion. Number two is abundance. Now, abundance is interesting because in this physical realm, contrast exists. What appears to be negative exists. So you will always encounter lack. Lack could be lack of trust, lack could be lack of money, lack of intimacy, lack of energy, the way in which you can move the body, all of those can be lack. And then what we want to do is to use the power of shifting your perspective to begin focusing on what's abundantly plenty. So the inner sense of plentiness that you can focus on, shifting the attention to begin enriching your experience with what feels enriching. Could be the air, could be the sunshine, could be the a little bit amount of money that you have that you might be minimizing compared to something else, but there's more people who might not have the money, right? So depending on how you can make it relative, you can change the sense of richness. And we want to be able to use that shift in perspective to enter into the frequency of abundance. And the more you connect with that energy of abundance, you invite more of because that's what you're asking. Yeah. And then being in that state is to be in alignment with how the soul is here to experience. That's number two. Number one, expansion. Number two, abundance. Number three is wholeness. Wholeness is this inner sense that you are feeling connected. You are one with what you belong to. Yeah. And the opposite of that is separation or disconnect. Yeah, many people who seek spiritual connection find themselves disconnected from the creator through their inner dialogue, through their belief that is limited, through their emotion that we actually habitually learned how to live there. That has become our habit, that has become our pattern. And all those are, again, mental construct. So wholeness is it's interesting. So we have these different bodies, right? The individual mind and human differentiation. And we are here, 9 billion people's different, so we can experience the togetherness. And again, the expansion, abundance, wholeness, this is all up to the attention and the focus. But then it's an attention and a focus, but at the same time, it's a internal knowing of living the knowing in the moment so we can self-define the wholeness of who we are, the abundance of who we are, and the forever expansiveness of who we are. As long as we are paying attention to that, and as long as we're allowing that inner knowing to be that experience instead of letting that mental construct to hijack our inner knowing, we can begin line up with that essence of the soul, which is expansion, abundance, and wholeness.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. A message I want you to take with you is this: you have a power to choose how you see yourself and the world at any given moment. So stay connected to that wisdom.